So the recording won't record you, it'll only record the speaker. So if we're having a discussion or whatever, I'll pause it. So Saturday morning in April, for many of you, a beautiful day. What are you doing here? It's a genuine question. The sense of what brings us back to our cushion. And particularly as many of you are very experienced practitioners. How much of what we do in these practices actually travels or blends a little bit into the day, into our lives. And to a large extent, what we're doing is cultivating our resilience and lightening things up for ourselves a little. We're looking for a quality of being where we feel, I don't know, to use Tathantuku's words, fulfilled, or that we even fulfill our potential as human beings on this planet. And the more and more people who do that, the more we carry this off the mat and it ripples into life. Not putting ourselves on any sort of pedestal, but just letting this ripple out might just have an effect on a rather, what should we call it, dizzy world at the moment. And then you've got your own personal reasons why you practice, why you roll your mat out, or you plump your cushion down and sit yourself in feeling and then generate feeling and then relax into it and so on. It can be quite nullifying, quite hypnotic to be relaxed here on my cushion. And we're working with two texts today. We're working with the original Kum Nye book with Tibetan yoga and relaxation. Kum Nye Relaxation, it was originally called. First book was a massage manual, and the second volume was the exercises, now amalgamated into one. And we're working with a text called Joy of Being. And I was digging out the other day all the references in Joy of Being to joy and to bliss. And it defines it in about 9 different ways, but all essentially leading to the same thing. A quality where the mind, what's going on and our reaction to it, the minding or yeah, minding's a good word. All the busyness of mind goes on. And pretty much all Tathantuku's mind and body texts, particularly the later ones, deal with something called regime of mind, the patterning of mind, the way mind models us, leaves us in this sense of this samsara, if you want to use Buddhist terms. And in some texts, he calls it the inner whisperer, that constant kind of puppet on your shoulder, giving you, nudging into your brain. It's often very much our reaction to things. So the suggestions and the practices really lead us to a point of my favorite definition of bliss, which is where the perceived experience, that gap between the perceived experience and the signposting of it, the labeling of it. And it's one of the definitions of Kum Nye. digging a notebook off my shelf there to give you it. If I can find it. There we go. It's from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, which is a Buddhist text. Some of you will know. Gampopa, I think, was the original of it. And he talks about sku, or ku, as in Kum Nye. The Sanskrit would be kaya, as in the layers of the body. And in Buddhist terms, you've got lots of kayas. You've got Dharmakaya, Bodhikaya, all of those. So the layers of being. Sku, the Tibetan word sku, as distinct from lu, which is the physical body, the flesh and bone, refers not to our physical aspect, but to that ineffable factor in experience, that perceived quality. So it refers not to the physical, the direct aspect, but to the ineffable factor in experience before we conceive of what we're perceiving as a thing, as a body. So the full quote, without me going on about it. Sku, the Tibetan word, as distinct from lu, the physical body, refers not to this immediate aspect, but to that ineffable factor in experience before we conceive of the perceived object as a body. So in Kum Nye terms, we're looking at the energetic body. We're not so much interested in the physical, except to keep us safe and to give us directions. If I start saying, lift that object you perceive as an arm, as opposed to saying lift your arm, it gets very bitty. So we do use labels to help us communicate. But when it comes to thought and what we perceive, solidifying the experience actually kills it. So that sense of bliss is defined far simpler than I've just said, really, as that point in experience before we put the label on. And we have glimpses of that. So I came out of a film yesterday, lovely little film. And for a moment, it was just the finish of it before I started reacting and criticizing and digging and liking. The other moments, probably post-orgasm, that moment where it's just still before you start prevaricating in your head, or when you've had some really pleasurable food or something like that, before you start saying, "Oh, that's nice," or a sunset arises. I was looking at the full moon last night. It was great. So those sorts of experiences before you start putting labels on. These days we see a sunset or we see a nice seaside view and you whip your phone out and take a picture. That's kind of what we do mentally. So it's the point before you take that picture, before you whip your phone out, when you're just enjoying the vista. So those moments of mental stillness. There are practices, particularly in the Tibetan tradition, of waking them up with shocks. Ha! And that moment before a reaction. So when you hear a car backfire or a loud noise, there's a moment. And that's what we're looking for. So often when we're working in a Kum Nye practice, which we are going to do when I stop waffling, often when we work in a Kum Nye practice, we come in and we sit down and then we arrange ourselves and we put our nice blanket around us. And then we sit and relax. But if something stops, what's the immediate experience before we start arranging ourselves to feel it? Look at me, aren't I grand? It's the actual direct moment. And we often use the language in relax like ripples or let the sensation ripple out. If you think of ripples, there's a moment when something hits the water, there's a splash. Can we rest into, as we work today, the sense of the splash before the ripples? And it's that moment we're defining as joyful, blissful, non-conceptual. Does that make sense? Two nods. I'll take two nods. A lot of mystified look. Just bear with me on this. So, and then we can relax into it and we can make that more of a habit. I wish I was there. I'm not. That's why I put my cushion down and I'm practicing. So when you get, this is a quote from Kum Nye Dancing, when you get more familiar with the internal qualities of your experience, your initial reactions to what is happening will begin to change. Eventually, any or even challenging sensations can be encompassed by sensitive, open awareness. Awareness that eventually, or sometimes simultaneously, takes good care of you, keeps you safe and free from fear. Without that fear, craving, sensitivity, all grows finer and awareness expands. Oh, sorry, without craving, without fear, without craving, sensitivity will grow finer and our awareness will expand. Hopefully, it'll be a little less muddled by our reactive tendencies. So that was my reason for titling this workshop Knowing Only Bliss. Partly because I like that exercise as well in the book. Oh. There you go. So just settle yourself into the seven gestures for a moment. Feel your sit bones, feel the ground. If you're on a chair, you'll feel your feet as well. Perhaps feel your legs or your knees if you're on the floor. So you notice the language I've used there didn't tell you how to arrange it. It simply said feel it. And the body's generally quite intelligent from the neck down. We get out of the way. The body will find its seat. And from that kind of settling, you can then allow the soft ascension of the spine. So you might want to lengthen up through the midline, the vertical midline of the body. Think of it more as allowing room than a physical action. So the abdomen, lower body can remain relaxed. And then the kind of external skeleton can settle, the shoulders, the ribs, the arms can rest. There's perhaps even a sense of confidence in the posture. There might be a subtle opening of the chest. Don't puff it up, but that sense of life behind the breastbone. Softening in the throat. And that buoyancy of the head. Again, your posture will help that balance. And might even begin to mitigate some of the tension if you're lucky. The shoulders can drop away from the sides of the neck. Jaw can relax. If it suits you, you're comfortable and familiar with it, you can allow the tongue to lift behind the upper teeth. Very gentle, delicate touch there. Breathing through both nose and mouth. Because of the soft length through the back of the neck and that subtle engagement with the chin or up through the throat, the gaze will be down. That does change in the different texts, but in this first text, the eyes are towards the floor. And sometimes when you're feeling and sensing in, it's helpful to close the eyes, at least at first, And allow the breath to find its place. Allow it to settle where it needs to right now. If it helps, take a few deeper breaths or silent breaths. You may even have a yawn or two in you, some of you. And then just notice for yourself what your quality of being is right now. Are you still kind of minding? You probably will be all the time. Are you conscious of it? You're perhaps judging what I've said. You're perhaps feeling the body. You're perhaps experiencing something else. Wishing you hadn't had that second cup of tea. Or maybe you want to direct your attention to something specific in the body. You've got an ache or a niggle, or you feel something kind of pleasantly relaxed. So just let what comes into your awareness come into your awareness without muddying the water. And I started the session saying, why are we here? Why have you come on a Saturday morning? You can kind of scan your own felt experience, or maybe you've got a cognitive understanding, but a feeling is fine. Have your own motivation, whether that's a classical one, the four immeasurables, or some sort of bodhicitta motivation, or whether it's just I want to feel good today. Everything's fine, whatever it comes up. It might be a feeling rather than something you put words to. What do you need from yourself in your practice today? What might you aspire to, or what might have motivated you, or when you bring it to the fore, what will motivate you? And it's yours, it's private. We're not sharing anything, you're just feeling it. And you don't need to label it, you don't need to judge it. Just let it sit there. We'll put it in the air. And you can put a little bit of trust. You come because of familiarity with the practice and because it's been useful one time or another in your life, maybe every day or on retreats and things, you've experienced something. So you can have a little bit of faith. I've got a teacher, some of you know him, a chap called Arnold Maitland, who always says, put Kum Nye in the room. So a little bit of trust in your experience. And that comes up in one of the early exercises, trust your experience. So there's a little bit of faith that's brought us here. It's not blind faith, but it's born of experience. And that can be reassuring. Have you cast your mind back to your first ever class? You can remember that long ago, some of you. Why did you go back for the second? Because something felt right, or something felt good. It's not strictly true. I went back to my second yoga class because I fancied the teacher, but that's something else. But you've got a kind of faith in practice born of knowing it does good. So you can sit in that as well. It's a long time to give you motivation. It's useful for practitioners of a little bit of experience, like most of us are. It's useful for anybody, really. So here we have a rich site of experience. Shall we move it? Shall we ruffle our feathers a little bit and move? So just take a shoulder forward and a shoulder back. Keep the kind of west aspect of the body, the front aspect of the body alive, nice and open. And just loosen up, gently drifting one shoulder forwards and one shoulder back. It's the name of the exercise, loosen it. You're just allowing a gentle rotation around the center line with the shoulder girdle, perhaps the ribs. Hands can drift along the legs as they need to, or can even do it with the hands in space. And just general loosening around that midline. Perhaps play with rhythm a little if you want to. You could do a few looser, quicker ones if you want, or you could slow right down. But when it feels right for you, let yourself just find the middle ground again. Might still be a little bit of staring going on, small movements, or even in stillness, there might be a little bit of circulating energy. There might be a plop of sensation as we finish, and that immediate sense of being able to relax into even subtle sensation. So you let awareness almost merge with or ride on the feeling of sensation. You can bring the sense of breathing into that. So the feelings, sensations, awareness, and breath can commingle, can dance together, stir and percolate perhaps a little. Even if that's very subtle, or your awareness doesn't sit with it, it's going on. Body's always looking for three things really: balance, or alignment, space, and that sense of homeostasis or equilibrium. And if we leave them alone and quietly sit with them, they will go there. You get little micro shifts, or sometimes, or after you've done an exercise, you instinctively know where you need to be. When you wake up in the morning and stretch, you're not telling yourself to do it. Or when a yawn comes, body's always looking to balance itself. So there can be a little less doing and a little more allowing. So we're going to move into an exercise called touching feeling. I'm just going to drop in a thought from Joy of Being about feeling. Joy of Being in its feeling chapter. Sorry, Angela, you'll be very familiar with this. We worked on it on Wednesday. It's vitally important that we cultivate a stronger sense of feeling and then learn to direct those energies in positive ways. So it's vitally important we cultivate a strong sense of feeling. And eventually you may find that whatever feelings are present, whether they're soft or they're strong, that we can relax into them and allow them to merge and come into balance. Eventually, you will find that whatever feelings are present, whether soft or strong, you can relax into them and allow them to merge and come into balance. So this is an exercise from the first book called Touching Feeling. Some of you will know it. It is a sitting one, although it does say at the end you can do it standing if you want. So if you're doing it sitting, you might need to stretch your legs for a moment and then resettle. I've kept you sitting for half an hour already. Cruel teacher that I am. So if anyone's desperate, do this standing up. So it's a simple exercise, but if we're playing with the idea in the titles, touching feeling. So comfortably upright, that sense of soft openness to the front of the body. And it's so exciting. You allow one shoulder to come up. What does that feel like? Let the other one join it. And then circle them very, very slowly. Back a little and down. And can you take about a minute? You have to guesstimate it. You don't have to be exact, but nice and slow. Up, back, and down. And then let that second shoulder, the second one you lifted, just rest. And try it with one shoulder. It might help to close your eyes. It's not a difficult movement to get the hang of. It might help to slow down just that touch more, which means that you can feel it moment by moment. So can you kind of reverse the sense of the title where it says touch and feeling? You just tell yourself that the title is Living, Feeling, Touch You. So that whatever's coming up as you work is feeding you, as opposed to some distance from what you're feeling. Let it touch you. Your feeling can come in. And let the observer fade and let the experiencer be there. In the text, it says either 3 or 9 times. I have no idea how many I've done. But at some point, you might want to just settle down and rest for a moment. I could direct your feeling experience somewhere. I could say, what's the difference one side to the other? All sorts of ways you can play with your awareness. But I suspect you just want to sit and let things percolate. Yes, there might be a energetic feeling difference, but so what? And then allow the shoulder to creep up on the other side, rather than just going the other way. Let's do the other side. And guess where it goes? Gently back and slowly down. And what we often forget, we get a little serious with this stuff, but what we often forget is you are allowed to take a bit of pleasure in what's going on. If indeed it's accessible to you, you might have gummy shoulders. In which case, the slowness is useful to us because you can feel your way through where it's sticky. But if you're free and loose, then you're at a disadvantage. There's less to feel. That's not strictly true. Allowing feeling to touch you or to play into that felt experience, the subtle body, the energetic body, the responsive, alive, sensual body. Until eventually it can just rest. As you relax into feeling or whatever your sensation, whatever your alive body's responding to, whatever's stirring. There's a language sometimes in meditation teachers where they say, sit still. Bodies don't sit still. Bodies are in constant flux. And I'm beginning to think that that instruction, even something in the classical texts like the Anapanasati Sutta, the Sutra on the mindfulness of breathing, where it talks about stillness and posture, I'm beginning to come to the conclusion that my body's always adjusting. Where's that stillness? And I think it's referring to a kind of stillness of mind. Not that we're not minding or thinking or active there, but that we're becoming less affected. And that comes up in some of the more recent texts from Tathagatuka. Like, let your experience be an empty house with open windows that things just flit through. Or like clouds in the sky or waves on the ocean. Any metaphor that suits can help sometimes. But that settling of the reactivity of our beings becomes a kind of stillness of you're no longer stirring the pot. You stir your soup or you stir a bathtub. There's a kind of momentum that takes over even when you take the spoon away or your hand away. Eventually comes to stillness. Okie dokie. So I'd written on my notes here, TBE, and I suddenly thought, what on earth have I written? And I'll come back to the text, and it's touching body energy. So another touching. We've done touching feeling, albeit slowly. So we're now going to do an exercise called touching body energy. It's often taught quite aggressively as a physical movement, and of course there's a physical description of how to do it. But can we play with it a little in our approach, be a little playful with it, and see if we can touch in with what's going on? One way might be to use the visualization of the center line of the body, the channel, central channel. But even that's a concept in a way. So touching body energy, whatever that means for us, we're going to play with a little. It's often combined with healing body and mind, which is your side bend. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to touching body energy. So if you want to stretch your legs for a moment, and then we'll stand up. And there's a lovely paragraph in the long description of touching body energy. It's one of the longest exercises in the first book as far as text goes. But there's a lovely paragraph where it says, eventually the experience emerges and the doer kind of subsides. So some of you touching body energy with a yawn there, I can see. Well, this might wake us up. Oh, my computer's not responding. Let's try again. No, I think my phone has died, so we'll do it this way. So let's give me a review. You're standing with the feet a comfortable distance apart, but you've been sitting for the last 45 minutes, so just do a little loosening, shaking out if you need to. You don't need me, you don't need me to prescribe that. You can just feel where you need to loosen up. I've got a friend who says this a lot when he's teaching, and he always looks like he's a kind of slightly drunk dad at a party, loosening up, doing his dad dance every time he stands up, which is quite good because he's not self-conscious about it. He just does it. He's a Kum Nye teacher as well. Anyway, by the by. So we kind of stand fresh, you see. So the site that we start from then can start from a kind of balanced quietness. So if this was the 7 gestures of standing, you'd feel your feet, you'd feel the center line, you'd feel the buoyancy of the head, and the shoulders would relax. Face, eyes, breath. You can close the eyes once you know what you're doing. So the physical action, the arms can either go sideways and up or forwards and up, but somehow they go up. See how that kind of lift of the arms feels. You want it more to lift from the center of the body, as if the waist slightly lengthens between the ribs and the pelvis, rather than a kind of rigid quality of abducting the shoulders. Arms face forwards for this. If you prefer a little wider, or you prefer arms wide as you go forwards, you can. Soft knees, kind of pliability in the legs. Nice and loose. And then you gently arch or fold forwards from around the hip joints, very top of the legs, base of the abdomen, rather than just the waist. This kind of curved quality to the descent. Nice soft fold forwards. Best advice I've got physically is to bend the knees a little. Head and shoulders can hang, and then just be there for a moment. Some of you are made of rubber and your hands will be on the floor. Others of us are flesh and bone and will dangle above the floor. Either way, turn your palms to face the ground or onto the ground if you're supple enough, and spread the fingers a little. Take a kind of like out breath. You don't have to vocalize it, but that kind of quality. And then relax the wrists and slowly unfurl. There's a gentle feeling your way into the front line of the spine and your verticality, or the center line of the body if you're using an energetic kind of inner landscape. Head and shoulders can all relax, touching into feelings, energy, body and mind, or mind body. And then again, a gentle lifting of the arms, can be sideways, can be forward. Feel the ground as much as the ascent. And then when you're ready, you can fold your way over. You can naturally allow the exhale to deepen, that kind of ha or ah quality. Ah. This time as you come up, can you imagine you're being inflated from underneath on a giant balloon? Just an image to help you keep kind of curled and to give you the quality of rising. And the arms can come overhead this time. So once more you're upright with the arms. And then again, holding forward. Deeply out breath once or twice. And that kind of sigh, like almost demonstrative breath. And uncurling slowly. Let the arms hang this time. So we're going to allow the body to repeat that exercise a few more times, even a few more on that. But now as you move, Rather than instructing yourself or me instructing you, can you slow right down, but help yourself by letting the body dictate to you where it wants to go? So you're not telling itself to move in a mechanical way. You might find that there's a little bit of stirring goes on, or there's a little bit of rippling, or the body wants to move that way or that way. It's not you choreographing yourself, like a choreographer directs dancers or her dancers. It's the body talking to us that creates the movement. So we let the doer go on holiday, have a cup of tea for a minute, and you just let the body express itself on its own. I'm not sure express itself is the right word, but let it dictate or let it be choreographed from the inside out, if you see what I mean. So your body might have ideas of where it wants to go. You might find that you're kind of, I don't know, amorphous in it, loose in it. Words don't do it really. Have a read of the text and it'll tell you. So when you're ready, you can begin. And I suggest at least when you start, you've got eyes closed, because then you're not influenced by me or anyone else. You're just drifting into your forward bend, however it wants to come. It might take a while. And if you're not sure, then stop a minute, feel. See what it says to you. Another half minute or so. No rush in anything. And you can finish by flying the arms, legs around also. Again, no rush. Good. And then when you're ready, you can return yourself to your seat, your chair. Or if you're in seventh heaven, you might stay standing up. You might notice that you create that seam, that division between finishing the exercise and then sitting, settling, blankets, which are obvious if it's cold or whatever, but can you then drop straight into feeling? You can almost sit in the experience of feeling like sitting in a bath of water. Let you be in the feeling rather than observing the feelings within you. So that there's kind of soaking or bathing in sensation. So as you sit, if sitting's comfortable for you on the floor, if not, you've got two options. You can either sit on a chair towards the front of the chair, or you could do this standing up with your legs a little apart, perhaps wider than the shoulders and your hands on your waist. For those of you sitting, the hands can come into the crease of the elbow, crease of the hip, that kind of inguinal crease. If you want to do it standing, you're welcome to, in which case it's similar, but with the legs straight and wide. And if you want to do it on a chair, that's fine. So again, you can have a sense of that vertical, or if you want to put the image in of that center line. Take some breaths. So we're going to move that object that we conceive of as a body. Of course we are. But can we think of this as a way of becoming, of quietening the inner energies? So in a way, it's you moving to sing a little lullaby to the body's energies, to calm them, quieten them. It's called calming inner energy. So that kind of sense of coming into harbour, the calming of the stirring and the turmoil of mind can come to settle. And you allow yourself to gently fall forward. Let the breath loosen, particularly in the forward bend. Maybe the out breath deepens a little. It will do physiologically because the diaphragm's been gently compressed. But you can encourage that as well with a few ha's or ahs. And then slowly just drift towards your right thigh or the right side if you're standing. And then slowly, slowly up, either bending to the right or turning and bending to the right, whatever suits the body again. Until slowly you're upright. And now you can include a little elevation up behind the sternum, slightest of back bends, perhaps look up. You can do this with closed eyes, of course, or you can scale the space as you move to the left and down. Until you're next folded forwards or hanging forwards again. There, once again, deepen the exhale a few times. Before you move on to the right. Now, slow down. You can take it moment by moment, stage or degree by degree. At the risk of pushing your buttons, can I suggest that we try slowing down just a touch more for a round? Find now for yourself a point you can pause in for a moment. Doesn't matter where in the cycle. And then slowly move the other way. At some point, you might find a place to stop. Again, there's no rush, but when it feels useful or right, just come to stillness and back to upright. And there, if you're comfortable still sitting, stay sitting. If you prefer to adjust your posture or sit in a different way, you can do. So once you've found the seat again, once you're at rest, or the body's at rest, we're going to use some simple meditation or relaxation slash meditation instructions from Joy of Being. It's called Awakening Feeling. It asks the question, first of all, where then are the roots of your energy? We've just done calming inner energy. So rather than intellectually answering, you just put your attention in the body and where are the roots of feeling or the seeds of feeling? He then says, the way to this knowledge, where are the roots of feeling? The way to this knowledge is through relaxation. Just sit quietly. Allow body and mind to relax deeply, as if you were looking into a clear, calm pool, very still, very calm, perhaps crystal clear and reflecting blue of the open sky, and vast and open feeling like the open sky. And you can see the stillness and calmness of the pool. You can invite that deep, calming quality into the body. You can almost breathe it in. Soften the throat. Let it pass into the body. Let it touch the heart. Let it warm the abdomen. If sounds or something comes into your awareness, you can calmly let it continue on. And just let the mind and body enter quietness, perhaps stillness of mind. If something arises, feelings, perhaps surrender into them. Whatever comes, you can melt that feeling or melt into that feeling. Almost tasting and savoring the calmness, relishing the stillness enveloping you. Thoughts may come. Let them be like clouds in the open sky. Calmness remains, and we can rest in that tranquil yet dynamic space, open to our inner communication and our sensory experience without. Okay, go back into that sense you started with. How are you feeling? What's your kind of inner landscape or your mind and body experience now? Again, you don't need to put words on things. You have a sense of maybe there is a word that comes up. Okay, okay, let's have a break. I know you need a pee and a cup of tea. So, water in, water out break. Should we take 20 minutes? We start back around 10 2-ish when everybody's back. Is that long enough? Yeah. Okay, I'll see you at 10 to the hour. So get some fresh air or open a window, have a look outside. Progress or progress. Okay, so on your feet. Enough words. Let's get in the body, out the head, into the heart. Take a few easy breaths. Let yourself kind of come back into feeling a little. If you want to rub the body or just shake a little, take some easy breaths. Enough words. So we just talked about the space around us. There's the literal space around us. There's the room you're in. Has it got a flavour to it? We've got an inner landscape and we've looked at how we're feeling, but how does your room feel? Mine feels rather cluttered at the moment. Needs a good tidy up. I've got that kind of sense of jumbled energy in here, which I don't like. Rest of the house is nice, but this one's jumbled, my office. So can you just imagine that the walls fall away a little or dissolve away a little? Imagine you're in a kind of rather grand old house. Maybe the windows have gone, maybe part of the wall's gone, the roof's got a big hole in it. Lovely place. I used to love those places as a kid. Like castle ruins or shells of houses. Used to play in. My dad was telling me how he used to play on bomb sites when he was a kid, which isn't so nice an image. But you can imagine a kind of grand, once nice old house with crumbling around you. The walls are going. The floor's stable, but the walls are going. There's a hole in the roof. You're in this grand old space, like some French chateau or something. Or you're out on an open field. Perhaps there's a river nearby or a tree. Or you're on the beach. And then just allow an arm to come up. Nice grand gesture. And then turn the palm towards the crown and ease your way to one side. Let yourself kind of open that side into the space wherever you're envisaging your playing. I'm in that grand old house. You could be anywhere. Just let the energies kind of stream. It's a bit like opening the heart, but you're letting the whole energies play. Armpits are interesting places energetically. We don't tend to open the music. And the whole sideline. And then come gently back. As you get to vertical, just allow the arm to come down. And then, of course, you can play on the other side. So palms facing the head, a little bit of length, and then easing over. Flowing into space. And gently back. Other arm can come up. This time the palm is facing the ceiling or the sky. And easing over. Flowing into space. And down another arm. Palm ceiling. Or sky. And then you can gently sway between the two. So palm down, palm up, and palm up. You can find a rhythm that suits you. If you want to turn a little as you do it, almost dance it a little. So flowing into space. Alternating palm up and palm down. Or you can just play and forget. I often do. And then if you keep one arm up and bring the other arm to the side, you can do a similar thing, but you keep the angle between the arms. And this one you take a great deal of glee and delight in. You can say to yourself if you want to while you do it, space of joy. You kind of maintain that right angle between the two arms. Some of you letting it collapse, not that it's vital. And then when you've had enough, just allow the arms to open to the sides with your fingers wide. Spread the fingers. Open the chest. Take a nice easy in-breath. And then turn the palms down as you sigh the arms down. Nice, easy. Ah, kind of melting. Anything that's holding on to you. Or anything that you're holding on to at this point, if you can. Ah. So we've got a quality of the energies, the body. Maybe there's even a heart quality from that. But now anchor it in, or anchor your mind in a little, on the fluctuation and movement as you breathe. And then with minimum kerfuffle, if you know what kerfuffle is, minimal fuss, come to sit. You can find an efficiency in that, it's great, but you may have to wriggle and jiggle to get comfy. You can mix up the way you sit if you want a chair now or you want to sit with your back against a wall or anything, you can do. So make life easy for yourself. So there's a long description of just a basic mindfulness of breath. Enjoy being. Uh, Settle the posture first. Probably best advice. And we've flowed into space. And we've expressed the kind of feeling of that, the joy of that, or potential joy of that. And our physical interface between inner and outer is breath. We breathe what's outside us in. We breathe what's inside us out. And there's the language in the Kum Nye of inner and outer, dissolving a little, boundaries and borders and concepts like that. But the sense of a spaciousness can be enough, or a lightness. We can relax into that. When the body relaxes, the breath will respond by flowing more smoothly, perhaps even entering and leaving the body in a regular rhythm, a sense of equanimity between in and out. We could just say a relaxed, easy tide of breath, ebbing and flowing. It puts a little coda in the next sentences that we can do this anyway. It doesn't have to be on the cushion. Can we feel the quality or the feeling tone or flavour of that breath? You might notice if it's agitated or if it's shallow, if it's noisy. Mine is at night. If it's warm, if it's cool, if it's whatever quality. you feel, which is, of course, the basic attitude to the sutra on the mindfulness of breath. Breathing in long, I know I breathe in long. Breathing in short, I know I breathe in short. It goes on like that for a little while. We're training awareness and how the breath feels. Notice if the breath is shallow or deep. Perhaps if it's in the chest or you feel it lower in the body. What's moving in the body to accommodate the flow of air. You might feel a soft distension, gentle widening sometimes as you breathe in. And that sense of the exhale, the body wants to move towards the midline. You might even softly lengthen. And then again, that gentle opening, widening, deepening as you breathe in. So basic meditation instruction, particularly someone who's done very little movement, Kum Nye or yoga, you might say, feel the breath at the nose. It's an option. And as they begin to relax, you might encourage them to notice how it drops down. If they're really relaxed, or like when you watch a relaxed animal or a young child, it's not disturbed. Breathing will manifest in the lower body, usually in the belly, if they're on the side or the back. Or if they're sitting upright or standing upright, you see it freely in the sides. So sitting upright, there's a bit of tone on the front of the body. You tend to feel it more laterally, but don't take my word for that. See what your experience is. And then as you relax and feel, you've got that locus of feeling, you've got that place you're feeling the breath, wherever that is. Perhaps it is the abdomen, you're all practitioners. Hopefully we're all beginning to relax. So let's say for the sake of argument, it's in the abdomen. As you breathe, relax. Allow yourself to settle a little more into it. Let the doer of it even fade, because breathing will carry on without you being conscious of it. It's still there in your awareness, but you're not manufacturing anything. And as you feel and the breath takes place, and that kind of parenting of your experience can subside, that directing, you can relax even more, settle in, and notice how the feeling tones of breathing permeate and spread. Just as you do with sensation, you're doing with the breathing sensation. All those sensations we're calling breathing for the sake of convenience. To spread through the body. If you want to imagine them moving through the channels, you have a knowledge of them, or they could be moving through the tissue and the substance of the body. You can imagine a spreading and opening, the relaxations and unfolding, and unraveling and feeling. Even any sense of those words might dissolve, and you can simply rest in your sense of being, your sense of self, your kum, that, to quote that we did at the beginning, ineffable factor of experience before we conceive of the physical body as a thing. Just rest in your experience without label, without judgment. Just be. That empty house with decaying walls and holes in the roof, windows gone, no doors. Things might flit through. A bird, a moth, a breeze. Just let them play. Thoughts, feelings, anything that arises. Don't push it away, don't attract it. Just let things be. There may be ripples and disturbances on the pond of your calmness, but the essence of mind is just the water, whether it's still or whether there's movement. Just rest. Perhaps you want to add a spacious quality to it. Even a very light, fresh, even luminous quality may be useful or may arise. So accept that you may be calm, you may be quiet. But remember that phrase, Kum Nye, for a world out of balance. If we're going to take our Kum Nye off the mat, if up to now the practice has been something we do on the cushion and on the yoga mat behind closed doors, we want to kind of pull the rug out from that, or pull the meditation mat out from underneath you, lift you off your feet, stir you out your seat. If we're going to do that and approach life, as Roger put it, Kum Nye is life, or put your experience in Kum Nye while we were discussing. We need a kind of confidence and panache to do that. And there's a lovely little phrase in Lotus Body, towards the end of Lotus Body, which we looked at in the last class, the Americans, before they move on to Lotus language next week. And it says, is there an art to the way we exist? Is there an art to our existence? It writes, is there an art to existence? Perhaps a symphony of tenses and senses. Can we become artists of living and masters of our field? Even the most ordinary occurrences are haloed by this potential for luminous, magical play. We can respect the wonderful approach to phenomena, i.e. what's going on in the world, by reminding ourselves that even the tenses of time aren't the end point of this story or the ultimate destination of any journey. There is more to discover, ever more subtle operators operating awareness. There's such a rich potential here, so respect your journey. Later on in the same, this is in the afterword of Lotus Body, tenses of time might be waiting, furled today, imperceptible up to now, but ready to unfold. New tenses, unimaginable tenses of light, of cognition, of seeing, whole now unfurling. The tenses of presence, presence of the tense, knowing growing tenses, tenses binding their time in this unknown or as yet unknown field, this new and unknown territory, this lotus field of blossoming, this lotus field of blossoming could become my new home. Sit with that for a moment. I think it doesn't do things by halves. A final exercise from Joy of Being. Let your hands come forwards, palms up. And then curl the fingers to make a very gentle fist, as if you're containing something precious. Intensify it. Knuckles not quite touching, but you can include a little bit of energy in that. Percolate it, brew it, and then give it away. Whatever you want to share with the world. Let's do that again. Show it. It can be for yourself if you want. We can give it away. And then intensify it. It's called Awakening Heart. And distribute it and rest. So in Dimensions of Mind, uh, Thursday nights for some of you, uh, it comes up in Dimensions of Mind quite early in the text, I think. It talks about bodhicitta and the four immeasurables. And it says, in some ways, each of us lives in a very private world. The people you meet, you don't know. You don't know what they're thinking. Nor can they sense, in a direct and obvious way, the good wishes you send them their way. It doesn't matter. We simply resolve to share your own sense of enjoyment and well-being with all beings, whether they're known or unknown alike. Just wish for them everything positive, whatever form it may take. It could be radiant light, soothing breezes, positive thoughts, delightful tastes, infectious laughter, inspiring music, or beautiful sights. Just resolve to share your own sense of enjoyment and well-being with all beings, known and unknown alike. Wish for them everything positive, whatever form it may take, radiant light, soothing breezes, positive thoughts, delightful tenses, infectious laughter, inspiring music, or beautiful sights. And as you think of them, let waves of energy expand in all directions, each one carrying your intention of being of benefit. Over the last couple of minutes, we can sit with that. And if we have that wish, potentially for all beings, that includes yourself. So, closing gesture. Seal all that in for yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back with the gesture. Then we can honour the teachings, any teachers and teachings anywhere that have influenced us. And then give it away